because obviously you cannot build a strong body if you're not lifting any weight against resistance. Well, it's the same thing outside the gym. I got to tell you, okay? And this doesn't, we all deal with this. It doesn't matter how much success you've had, how many accolades you have. There are times when you're going to have these feelings of internal resistance. You're the boogeyman. How can you make resistance irresistible? This is the question that we're going to ask and answer today, because I know that resistance, just that word resistance, has a bit of a negative connotation, but we're going to put it in a different, better, more positive, a brighter light today. So this is Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce Pep, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. And you know that I am the youngest son of Bill Johnson. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you if you have not subscribed. I hope that you do subscribe after you finish watching this video. Watch it all the way through, please. I do appreciate you being here. So let's jump right into this. You know, I find it's a funny thing. A lot of you are on top of your workout game, you're training, you're building muscle, you're getting stronger, you're getting more flexible. You're maintaining your body really, really well, and that's commendable. And it's funny how when you go to the gym, you run towards resistance, right? You embrace resistance. You understand that you have to move that weight or push that weight, pull that weight, whatever it is, but you have to move that weight against some resistance in order to attain the result that you're looking for. So it's a given when you're working out that resistance is actually a good thing. You cannot attain the result that you want to attain without facing resistance, overcoming it, and just, working through it, right? So we all understand that resistance is to be embraced when you're working out. The funny thing is, really, really funny, so many people, they get outside of the gym and they treat the rest of their life in the opposite way. When they feel some internal resistance to doing something that needs to be done, they just let their internal resistance win over instead of facing it head on. So I want to give you a little bit of a framework here for just to understand your internal resistance and how to overcome it. Mark Johnson here. I'm excited to invite you to join Bounce Pep's 3-day VIP focus and follow through retreat here in Kyoto, Japan. Your time is the most valuable asset that you have, and you can't waste it. So I want you to come join me. I'm going to work with you personally. We're going to work on what your true purpose should be at this point in your life so that you can focus in on it and you can follow through and make progress. You're going to be treated like a true VIP. You're going to have 2 days of the actual program where we do a bit of work, and then we're going to have 1 day where you go on a curated tour through the legendary city of Kyoto, Japan. If you've never been to Japan, this is your chance. So, our internal resistance is a natural thing. You are not a defective human being if you feel ambivalent or resistant about doing some unpleasant task. It's really, really normal. We all have those feelings. So I'm not going to beat up on you for having those, feelings of resistance to doing something that maybe you just don't feel like doing. Maybe it's unpleasant, whatever it is, you just don't want to get around to doing it. But I can tell you this: procrastination, okay, and paralysis never helps your self-esteem. I don't care who you are. It never helps your self-esteem. So you need to get over the procrastination and the paralysis and, take on that resistance head on, right? So there's a framework that you have to apply, okay, when you're dealing with your resistance. And it's simply this. The first thing is it's okay to acknowledge your resistance because, like I said, you are human And there are going to be times when you have to do something and you just don't want to do it. Whatever it is, whether it's just whether it's really really hard and you know it's going to be really really hard, or whether it's not really really hard, it's just a nuisance, it's just unpleasant, whatever it is. Okay, it's okay to go ahead and acknowledge that resistance. I want you to be thinking to yourself almost from a third person's perspective, right? Like, oh, I'm feeling this resistance. Okay, now the next thing you have to do is whatever that thing is that you're resisting, you have to do it anyway. There's no getting around this. You have to do it anyway. Okay. After that, once you get into it, your mood is going to start to shift. This happens when you go to the gym, right? There are days when you may not have the high level of gusto to go and work out. But once you get in there and start working out, you just do it, then your mood begins to shift. You start to get into it. And then the next thing that happens is you kind of refocus, right? Okay. You actually start to hone in on what you're doing. And once you do that and you work through it more and more, and you get through it and you complete the task, whatever that is, if it's a workout or any task outside of the gym, you get through the task, you complete it, then you affirm your commitment, okay, to what you've just done. And you affirm your commitment to following through, right? So this idea that you can make resistance irresistible really boils down to the fact that in order to really get things done and move the needle in your life, there are going to be times when you have to overcome your own internal resistance to doing something. Now, I want you to understand something. Resistance increases or intensifies focus. So again, go back to when you're working out at the gym, right? You embrace resistance. And the funny thing, if you notice, is the heavier a weight gets, the more focused you become. So let's just say that you're lifting a dumbbell and the dumbbell is 2 kilograms, which is about like 5 pounds, right? 2 kilograms, 5 pounds. Now that's a very, like for anybody who's not, I don't know, a toddler, that's really, really, really light. And when you're lifting that dumbbell that's only 2 kilograms, your mind has a lot of mental bandwidth to wander. You start think about all kinds of things that don't really have anything to do with your workout because the amount of weight that you're handling is not heavy enough. It's not providing enough resistance to focus your attention on it. Okay. Now let's go to the other extreme. Let's say that you get on a bench and now you're going to do some bench presses and you jack up the weight from that 2 kilogram dumbbell to, I don't know, let's just say, I'm throwing out a number here. Let's just say to 100 kilograms, on a barbell, and you're going to do some bench presses. Now, this is going to refocus your mind really quickly, okay? Because that's a lot more weight. And the point that I'm making to you is that as the amount of resistance increases, when you lift, your focus also increases. When you're lifting 100 kilos, 150 kilos, 200 kilos for some of you people who are really, really strong out there, your mind doesn't have the mental bandwidth to just wander off thinking about some non-related activity. Like you're focused on lifting that weight, getting through that lift and accomplishing the task at hand. And so this is the idea behind making resistance irresistible outside of the gym. And what I mean by this is you must embrace resistance in order to get things done in your life. Sometimes the resistance that you feel is a good thing. I want you to start to look at it as a good thing because what it's doing is it's basically identifying a challenge or an opportunity. Actually, opportunity is a better word. It's identifying an opportunity for you to grow. Your resistance, your internal resistance that you feel to getting that really, really important thing done, or getting that thing done that, it's just a pain in the neck, but at some point you're going to have to get it done, whether you like it or not. Whatever the case is, that thing that must get done. Okay. The resistance that you feel is really the identification of an opportunity for you to grow. and perhaps mature, become wiser, smarter, better, right? Now, understand something about discomfort because, resistance and discomfort go hand in hand, right? So the more resistance you face, the more uncomfortable it is. But discomfort it's a strange thing, very, very strange thing. And the reason why is because of this. Sometimes your discomfort can be due to the fact that the task that you're taking on is objectively difficult. It really is difficult. Okay. And then other times it could be that the task that you're taking on is simply unfamiliar. And a lot of times what happens is most of the things that we have to do that we don't want to do are not objectively so difficult, especially like once we get into the task and we start doing it, we realize that a lot of times it's not as difficult as we had imagined it would be. It's just a matter of getting over the learning curve, and then things get easier, right? But a lot of times, what really, 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 really makes you uncomfortable is the unfamiliarity because unfamiliarity magnifies the sense of difficulty, right? And so it's not necessarily as something is objectively difficult. It's simply that you're unfamiliar with it. And so you make a big mountain out of a really small problem, an issue that could be resolved relatively quickly if you just got to it, dug into it, and took care of it, right? So a lot of times you're conflating your unfamiliarity, with difficulty is a much bigger problem than the objective difficulty of the task. Does that make sense to you? So I want you to keep this in mind whenever you have those feelings of internal resistance to doing something. Ask yourself, is this objectively as difficult as I'm imagining that it is, or am I simply unfamiliar with this task or this thing that must get done? Okay. Because if it's simply a case of unfamiliarity, then what you need to do again is go back to that framework, acknowledge resistance, do it anyway. That's the second step. Get in there, do it anyway, and get over that learning curve as quickly as you can. You're going to find out most times that it was not as difficult as you thought it was going to be. It was simply the unfamiliarity that made it seem like a huge mountain to climb, right? So, this is my message for you today. I want you to use resistance to sharpen your focus, just like you embrace resistance when you go into the gym, because obviously you cannot build a strong body if you're not lifting any weight against resistance. Well, it's the same thing outside the gym. I got to tell you, okay? And this doesn't, we all deal with this. It doesn't matter how much success you've had, how many accolades you have. There are times when you're going to have these feelings of internal resistance. You're the boogeyman. It's not somebody stopping you from doing something. It's nobody else's fault. It's you. You're the boogeyman. You're resisting. You don't want to do that thing. Okay? Do it anyway. Face the resistance. Resistance identifies opportunity. All right? So this is my message for you today. Go to that higher level. I'm going to sign out here. This has been Mark Johnson, founder of Bounce Pep, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. And talk to you again next time.